Alright everybody, the basement is still a mess, but I want to get started working on this tank, and before I do that I need to shoot a little bit of video about what we've got started so far, what I've got purchased and ready to go so far. The lighting that came on this tank as the ensemble, it's these two 3-foot fixtures, and each fixture actually has a 2-foot tube in it. So I believe the tubes are, I want to say 18 watts or something to that effect. So this 125 gallon tank comes with, I believe, about 36 to 40 watts of very inadequate lighting. So what I do is I just get these shop lights. I get these at the Wally World. I paid $11.97, I believe, for this, and it is a shop light exactly like this one, and it's nothing pretty to look at. It holds two T8 fluorescent tubes. They don't have switches on them or anything like that. They just have a very short cord that plugs in. I always plug mine into a light strip or something to that effect that I can just turn off on a switch. They're not meant to be decorative or anything else. They're simply a way to light your utility area or your garage or what have you. But when you get down to the long and short of it, when you buy lighting fixtures for your aquarium, if you're buying lighting fixtures that take 4-foot T8 tubes and you just spent 60 or 70 bucks because it's got some brand name on it, at the end of the day what you did was you bought a really expensive shop light that was pretty to look at and does the exact same thing this shop light does. It lights two 32 watt T8 lamps. It says it right there on it, 32 watt T8 lamps. So I bought two 32 watt T8 lamps right here. This was another $7.88. So for roughly $20 I now have the shop light and the tubes that go in it. Now what that's going to do is it's going to cover from the back of the tank about to this first hinge. And it's only 4 feet long. So unlike my other tank where I have it centered and then I have, you can see the dome light I have at either end, that's why there's those bulges there. So instead of centering it and then putting a dome light at either end, what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide the whole unit to one end, which will leave me a 2-foot section free. I will then take these two hoods that I have, or these two lights that I have from various other aquariums that I'm no longer using, and I can actually put one here and one here, or one here and one here, and then that way this end of the tank will be much more thoroughly lit. So that's what all that is. What is all this? This is a bag of material. I use it both for draping the tops of my tanks, but if you will also look in there, you can see that I have a cloth background behind my tanks. So this tank is going to get my typical purple treatment. It's going to have a purple background, and then I will have the purple cloth hanging over the top of it. Of course you won't really see the color of the top of it, and you'll be surprised for those of you who are not familiar with my videos regularly. I told you I got all the overhead lights on, and I've got additional lighting set up to allow for my YouTube video. But this tank has a purple background in it, and this tank has a purple background in it, and you really can't tell. It really does not come across as being so overly purple that it makes it look odd or unnatural. So give it a chance. We'll see what it looks like with the purple background. The next thing we need to look at before we move along is this stuff. If you've been wondering what this is known as egg crate plastic. What it is, when you buy it, is actually a light diffuser. When you go to your big box store, the same kind of places you might buy this, I got this one at the Home Depot. This was $12.50 or something like that, $12.49. And what it's designed to do is it is actually designed to be very similar to that. It goes in where that panel is, and that diffuses your light from your overhead fluorescent fixtures. So what I'm going to do with that is line the bottom of my tank. I'll have to cut it. It's 21 inches wide. I only need 18 inches, so I'll have to cut a few inches off. But we're going to put that in the bottom of the tank before we put anything else in. And the reason we're going to do that is because I'm going to be putting fairly large rocks in there. Probably much larger than this rock, and I don't know if you can tell how big that rock is, but that's a fairly sizable rock in there. Unfortunately, in this tank, they are all sitting not even on the glass, but they're sitting on the gravel. So if you get a fish in there that's a digger, or so the gravel shifts, you never know what might happen. When I first had this tank set up, I had a ton of rocks in there, way more than you see now. And there were several times where I would hear a loud bang, and what would happen would be something would shift and the rocks would slide, and they'd actually come forward and hit the front panel. And I never had any problems. I mean, I never had any disasters, I should say. I would call the rocks hitting the glass a problem, but I never had any disasters from that. So what I've learned to do is line the bottom of the tank with this. The next step will be to put the rocks directly on this material rather than the bottom glass of the tank. That will spread their weight out. If rocks have any sort of jagged points, if you've ever seen a glass breaking tool has a very, very sharp point on it. And that's designed to concentrate all that power and pressure into one spot on that tempered glass, which will cause it to shatter. So if you've got a rock that just happens to have a little jagged piece of quartz or something sticking out and it shifts and falls, you never know. That little tiny point of hard quartz might be enough to shatter your glass. So any way you slice it, you don't want rocks putting odd, uneven pressure on the glass on the bottom of the tank. So we're going to line it with this stuff. We're going to put the rocks directly on that. Once we've done that, then we can go in and we can lay some gravel. I'm just going to use regular old aquarium gravel to give a sort of a river bottom type effect. We're going to go fairly shallow with that, just enough to keep this covered and give the rocks a nice base to look like they're sort of naturally down in the gravel rather than just sitting on top of the dirt. And then we're going to go from there. So that's where we stand right now. Those are my little projects we've got to get working on. I'm going to get this light on top of it. We're going to get this cut down, put inside. And then I've got a few rocks here at the house. I'll probably start my process by just putting some rocks in there and looking at them for a while. And I'm just going to start letting the creative juices flow. We'll get some ideas of where we want to go from there. I haven't even begun my rock collecting yet or anything like that. I'm going to do something a little different in this tank. But I'm already starting to get some ideas of what I can do in here, and I'm thinking it's going to be a really, really exciting tank when I'm done. So that's what all this little stuff is now. I'm going to get started on that. Look forward to more. Subscribe if you're not already. That way you will not miss all of the updates that are going to be coming and all the fun stuff we're going to be doing in this tank. So thanks again for watching this one, and I hope to see you real soon on the next one.